This is nice. I can actually drink and relax now after a long day. But how are you guys doing? It's good to have you on board. So today I actually want to talk about like black relationships and the interactions between black men and black women in today's society. And I want to get your opinions on specifically what do you guys think about the stereotype that black men tend to date out of their race more than black women, or within their community, and the stereotype that black men, there are a lot of black men that don't like black women. What do you guys think about that? So we'll go around the room, and then I'll ask your opinions first, and then after I want you to give your reasons. So we'll start with you.
I agree with that. Statistically, I think this research was done on like a dating website, and they basically came up with the statistics, and it just I can't remember. I actually can't remember, but it was basically showing the races that were more likely to respond to other races, and black men was the actual race that was probably most likely to date outside their race or to respond to somebody outside of their race.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't know. The thing is, it's like dating, but is it seriously? Because obviously everyone knows that uncles, when they came here, they were dating white girls to get the papers and all that. That's why I think it started, didn't it?
Like
the
papers, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
Like bare uncles is business and that.
So I think,
I hear you.
I think in general, I see more when it's like when you talk about serious relationship, I see more black men with black women. But when it's like just not, you know,
and is that based on your experience or based on what you see in society, like experiences of other people?
A bit of both, to be honest. Yeah.
And I would agree with you, because I think, statistically speaking, the proportionate amount of people, black men, that date out their race is actually overblown. Because I think most people tend to date within their race, whether you're white, Romanian, Eastern European, black, Jewish, Turkish. I think you tend to date within your race. I think there's always exception to every rule. It's just like a science.
I personally, don't take this the wrong way, but I personally feel like if somebody doesn't want to date within their race, there's an underlying reason as to why. I don't think it's just like black and white, like, oh, I don't like black girls, or...
So let me play devil's advocate. So when you think of a white man who likes black women, only black women exclusively, do you think that there's some kind of self-hate on his part, that he doesn't like white women?
It might be a fetish. Because for me, it's like...
I actually agree with you.
It might be a fetish, because for me, personally, I feel like if you have had a fully functional upbringing, fully functional child upbringing, and you had a good relationship with your mom, you loved your mom, you're going to want to marry somebody like your mom, right? Black woman, she has all these cultures, she has all these values, even like within you have a culture that you're not going to want to let go of. Do you know what I mean? You have a certain way of living that you're not going to want to let go of. So for you to actually want to forego, I feel like there's something underlying for you to want to forego all of that.
What do you think?
I'm not saying, sorry, let me just finish. I'm not saying that if you date other races, there's something wrong. I'm saying if you refuse to date black women and you just date outside of your race, no, I don't. I think there's something. Okay. There's an issue.
I've got a response to that point, but I'll let her give her opinion and then we'll get
Yeah, my thing is, I don't agree with that statement. I do believe a lot of black men date within their race.
Yes,
I just feel like the media attention, especially amongst Europeans, is that black men do date outside their race and predominantly date outside their race. And it's just the things that we see rather than what actually goes on. Obviously, I come from a black family. My brothers, I've got 4 brothers.
Where are you from, by the way? What country are you from?
I was born here. My parents were born here, but I'm Caribbean and Indian.
Well, that's a nice mix, still.
Yeah. And... yeah, so my brothers, they love black women, you know, and I've got 4 of them. Yeah. You know, my uncle's the same, all married to black women and stuff like that, so...
And do you know what I think? Sorry to cut you off, but you know what I think as well, yeah? I think a lot of black men love black women, but they don't want to show it or express it as verbally because of a lot of, different experiences. Like, sometimes I feel like, I've always liked black women from when I was in primary school, but it was, like, in my experience, to just be personal, I found that a lot of black women, I didn't attract them as much as other races. Like the white women, mixed race women will show me more love. Like light skin girl will show me more love. But these times, I wasn't one of them black guys that was like, I do think there was a time where black people, whether you're a man or woman, we glorify the light skin people. No offense. But you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
We did. And now I think we've come to a time where we've come to a place in life now where we start to appreciate our source. When we start to own it, like if you look at a lot of these celebrities or a lot of these rappers, the bad bees that are presented are dark skin now. But like my thing was, back in the day, I've always liked black women. They were always my number one. But I just felt like they didn't really, fuck with my thing. So I was, when I was young, I was like, okay, cool, man's gonna explore, do a little Christopher Columbus thing in the relationship thing. But now, as I'm older now, I'm at a point now where I'm like, no, I want to be with my own. And not because I've got nothing against with any other races, but because I just think, as a black man, like with the stuff I've gone through my family, I grew up under a single parent mom, didn't have a good relationship with my dad. So for me, I feel like I want to have a better version of that reflects my reality. And I think if someone wants to stay out of their race because they're open-minded, I think that's okay too.
Yeah,
But I think as long as you don't dish your own. And I think a lot of black men do have that same mindset, but I just think the ones that don't, which are a minority in my opinion, based on experience and based on experience of other people, and if you actually look at the stats, black men have the highest statistics of staying out their race. But I also wonder if that is due to other factors that are not necessarily because they don't find black women attractive, but because of the experiences with black women treating them in a certain way. Because oftentimes the black guys that do date out their race, they do so not because they don't like black women, but because they feel like, black women don't really rate them.
Yeah.
And so when they do, but then the white woman will treat them like a king. Like
I've heard of that before.
You know
what it is as well, yeah. Glad you mentioned about obviously the relationship, obviously growing up with your dad, your mum, innit? I think we just don't have the healthiest relationships. Like,
I agree. I think black people are the most. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's my show. But, so I'm gonna do one of them, man. The Black Joe Rogan. I'm not joking, but I agree with you because we've spoken about this many times off camera. Like, bro, we always have these conversations here that as black men, it's hard as a black man to show your emotion in the society because you don't want to be seen as weak. And I think like we have it the hardest as men because we've got to be
but a lot of black men show their love to their vanilla queens, though.
And they do. But what I'm saying is,
they don't hesitate to hold hands and be all lovey-dovey.
Yeah, because we're so tired of
TikTok.
Because we're so tired of having to be the all the time, 24/7. You know what I mean? But we fit into a stereotype. I think black people, both men and women, do this. We perpetuate a particular stereotype about our characteristics that people have experienced outside of our race, and we perpetuate that. And that's why you see a lot of black men and black women fighting on Twitter or fighting on Instagram, shade bra. And it's like, why? Like, why do you do that? Like,
it's the men, they're the problem.
Okay.
Men love to fight.
Okay,
listen, you're talking about shade bar and all those things. Black men go in on black women.
But so do black women, though. I've seen black women say these niggas ain't shit.
No, we do say that, but I'm talking about they go in. They start talking about our hair, our looks, this, that, and the other, and it's like we might say niggas ain't shit and stuff like that. I don't like that.
But I've never ever seen a black guy, say anything about a woman's hair. I've always.
No,
I'm not gonna lie.
That is the number one go-to for them to attack us.
I'm addicted to shade bar.
Or our skin tone. Oh, she's dark. She's this. Like, they love the whole colorism thing. Like, I don't get it. And do you know when you mentioned and you said that how obviously we went through like a light skin phase, like as black people. I agree. Me personally, I did go for a light skin phase, but I quickly grew out of it. So when I was in like secondary school, I'd be like, oh my god, this mixed face boy.
But do you know who started?
Hold on 1 second. What age were you when you grew out of that?
I don't know. Maybe like after secondary school, like maybe when I left secondary school, I quickly grew out of it. Like, because I remember going to university and this was still a debate. And it shocked me because obviously I would be attracted to like dark skinned guys and this and that. And then the common conversation between these group of guys will be lighty this, lighty that, lighty. And it was just like, why is this still happening?
It's poison, bro. That's the negative effects of bad.
But you know who started it though? The aunties and uncles, isn't it? Every time like, oh, you're looking dark. Do you know what I mean? It used to be fairer. You know what I mean? They started it. They perpetuate.
Call me your mixed race, so you're treated like your
royalty.
Your Zeus. Like you're treated like your Zeus or one of these Egyptian gods, or like, you know what I'm saying? So, or Greek gods. Like you're treated like you're of some higher status, and I think that's fucked. I think that's wrong. I don't think it should be like that. I think the problem with us here is our thing is, and this is broader than this topic now, because we can just transition to wherever we want.
Yeah.
But it's a Plan of Mind podcast, you get me? But the thing is that I think the biggest problem with black people is that we don't stick together enough. And I think there are other factors that are outside of our control that constitute that continuation and that reality. But I think there are internal factors that we perpetuate. For example, you know, like, I think I do think that, you know, when you look at other races like the Jews, you know, or, you know, like Turkish or Asian man, you see a lot of men leadership holding it down.
Jews
And
aren't
I
a
think
race, by the way.
Huh?
They're a religion. Jews aren't a race, they're a religion.
I know, but
People do categorize that. You know why I want to make that clear? No, but the reason why I want to make that clear. No, I'm just saying Jews, but Jews still isn't.
But they're like a community, right?
Listen, I've got a whole spiel on that anyway.
They're a community of people.
Yeah, Jews. The reason why I'm saying that because Jews aren't a race.
Israelis, migrants in whatever.
I'm just saying. Let me finish. Jews aren't a race. Which leads on to not only is it just black people that date outside, but culturally, I think it's more of a culture thing rather than even just a skin color thing. Because when you've got like Christians are the most that date outside of their religion, you know, but then you've got like Muslims, regardless if it's black or white, they normally date within the Islamic religion. You see, so that's why I said about Jews, just like Jews, they date within their religion rather than it being a black and white thing. Or black and any other race. That's why I wanted to just
but
clarify
I was
with
talking
the
simply
Jew.
about the
But I know
ethnic cultural context in which they derive from.
Yeah.
They're claiming that they come from Israel, and so that's their cult, that's their thing. So I was talking about the Jewish community as it exists today in the UK.
Yeah.
They stick together. That's what my point is.
Yeah,
I think that they
that.
stick together because they just have this look. Let's stick together. You're my brother. If you come from the same heritage as me, whatever, then you're my people. I'm going to look after you. And other minorities seem to have that, but black people, I think we don't have that as much. And I do agree that the part of the reason is out of our hands. That there has been a history of slavery, colonization, and etc.
Yeah, the trauma.
And the trauma, and scientifically, if you look psychologically, there's a lot of biochemists and biological studies that show that, this is evolution 101. That if whenever you have ancestors that have a certain set of genetic traits and characteristics, their progeny, their descendants are going to inherit those same traits, and it's going to influence how they express those traits in the particular environment they're in. That's how they adapt. So, for example, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of our people, ancestors, had a lot of trauma, and that's been passed down genetically.
Yeah.
And vice versa for our white counterparts. So what I'm trying to say is that I think there are other factors as to why we're
so divided
between black men and black women, especially in the relationship.
Well, white and light is glorified. It's glorified
exactly.
Amongst our culture and from others.
That stems down from colonialism.
When you see an advert, they try to make the woman light or something like that. So it's not just even us as black people, we just see it constantly in Europe. It's like the lighter, the wider, the better.
Yeah, the better. Yeah.
And it's just so I think even with black men, just seeing that image is constantly in their face in music videos, adverts, everything. So they might think that is of stature, because when you get like Latino girls, white girls, listen, there's some feisty white girls, and
even Latino
other colors are classed as exotic, where we're classed as aggressive, or mad or angry, and it's like she literally said the same thing or even worse. And all of a sudden I'm the aggressive one.
I think it's to do
with the accent. The accent don't sound as aggressive. You know what I mean? That's
what. What makes okay? But what makes
wait, hold on.
Hang on a minute.
Hold on.
What makes that accent more attractive?
We're gonna eat him alive.
Hold on. No. I want you to expand. No. No one's eating. No one's alive.
Yeah.
Expand on your point.
You know how obviously you speak Yoruba, innit?
Yeah, fluently. I speak 4 languages, but okay.
Doesn't Yoruba sound aggressive though?
I think
No. Wait. Hold on. I don't think it sounds aggressive. I think when we're angry, we do. But I think that our language is actually tonal. Our language is actually very poetic and very expressive, very passionate. So I think, when you hear Yoruba people in Nollywood shows expressing their anger, that's why we sound angry. But I think Yoruba is one of the most beautiful languages out of all the tribes, out of all the 200 tribes.
Is someone biased here?
Very biased.
I think Nigerians are very passionate people, and I think that the way in which we speak reflects that. So
that comes across as aggressive, isn't it? It may be passionate. Just like when you could be talking about something you're passionate about, you come across as aggressive to certain people, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, but what sort of, for me, it's like what determines what comes across as aggressive and what comes across. So, for example, you find Latinos or their accent attractive, but why is it? Because of the tone? Like, why do you find it attractive?
Or maybe because it's socially accepted. That
is it because it's more socially accepted?
And I speak Spanish, but
socially accepted. I don't think it's.
I think it is, bro. Well, first of all,
it's more than black.
Well, first of all, Spanish is the most spoken language in the world. So
Is
know,
it?
I didn't even know that.
No, I thought it was.
Sorry, second most. It's
I thought it was English
Hold
or
on, it's
something.
Mandarin
No,
first.
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
It's
That's
Mandarin
it.
and then Spanish and then English.
Oh, English is first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
But
you
then
know,
how
yeah,
does
South
that
America's
relate
massive,
to
then-
people with the same accent? Like, so somebody could be Latino heritage, but
Yeah.
they still speak with a British accent and so forth. I'm telling you, the minute a black woman, no matter how calm she is, opens
Yeah.
up her mouth, they will just say she's aggressive.
Yeah. But okay, what? Okay, I want to hear your view and your view after. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. You've got to ask those people because anybody can be aggressive in their tone. Anybody, like it doesn't matter who it is. I've been told I sound aggressive because I speak very fast.
I speak very fast, so I've never been told
So,
that.
but
I
I
think there
see
is-
the difference,
yeah, there's
men and
difference.
women. But
And I
men, don't
agree-
you
and I-
notice?
and I do
Black
agree with
men
you.
don't get the same. You sound aggressive.
But we get it in a different way, though.
you get it in a different way from just your look. So people will judge you guys and automatically,
intimidating,
yeah.
you're
if
big,
you go,
scary.
because
And if
you're
a black
upset.
man, and hold on, sorry, sorry
It's
to cut
okay.
you off. But when you're a black man and you know you show any kind of frustration because of the way you're mistreated in any way,
It's
or-
aggressive straight away.
So black men we have to kind of compartmentalize how we filter our emotions so that we don't look like we fit
Aggressive.
that stereotype. So my thing is that, you know, like yesterday at work, there's one guy, one uncle, he's Pakistani brother, and he was moving a bit mad, like telling me to do things. I was like, hold on, I'm your manager, brother. Like, you can't be telling me this. But like for me, I didn't want to get angry and fit that particular stereotype. And then it made me think, nah, like forget what people think. I'm a human being, and if they don't see that, then that's on them. That's not me. But my question, is based on the fact that when I look at like a lot of like comments on Shade Borough, Twitter, or like Made You Think, or other pages like that, media pages, I seem to see it seems like black men and black women are at odds with each other. But my experience doesn't reflect that. And a lot of my black friends, a lot of other black men that I see on social media seem to say the same as me. So that's why I feel like the stereotype that black men like other races more than black women, I think is a bit overstated, because I think that's coming from, you know, a particular narrative that's from social media or media in general. I don't think, you know, you meet a lot of black men that date outside their race. A lot of them still like black women, but the ones that the small minority of men that say they don't seems to be, you know, what people look to as, okay, this is what represents most black men. And that's what I don't agree with. But
It is as well. I think a lot of black men have bad experiences. Isn't it? So growing up, obviously in the ends, whatever, like what's glorified as being like road and street. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
What women are attracted to at a young age.
and this gets into another conversation, as in the kind of women that we were attracted to and men you're attracted to. And this is what I'll say as well. I feel like, the kind of man you're attracted to, or what is popular in our community is, you know, the bad boy. The bad boy wins. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a bad guy, like, let's be real, most women like those kind of guys. So what do you think about that? Do you think?
So obviously, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to become more like conscious
Wait, hold on.
about.
So did you like bad boys?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
So when I was younger, I was more attracted.
You would have liked me when I said.
But I personally feel like that stemmed from I personally feel like that stemmed from like my upbringing and my childhood and stuff, and that's why I felt like I needed somebody that was like a bad boy. To me, they were like a protector, right? So, like, I personally feel like as I've gotten older, I've started to realize, no, that's not what you want, sort of thing. But I do find myself more attracted to somebody that oozes like confidence and. But I think it's like
initiative and
it takes
responsibility.
initiative. Like me personally, I'm quite what would I say? I'd say that I am very, what's the word? So I am very like, I have a mouth on me, right? So
I mean, we can tell. In a good way,
I have a
but we
mouth
can
on
tell.
me.
It's good,
yeah,
but you know, I like it.
for me to feel, so because I feel like a relationship, a woman should be submissive to. That's me personally. I have a Christian belief. I have a Christian upbringing. So I personally feel like a woman should feel submissive or should submit to her husband. Now, me personally, because I am very headstrong, sometimes I find that quite difficult. But I feel like when a man is confident and he uses that sort of like big dick energy, should I say?
So basically, you want a high value alpha male, which is indicative of most women who like the 10% of men.
Yeah, because it makes
That
me feel
outweigh the 80% of
safe.
men that don't have that.
So you're saying a guy has to exude that energy for you to be submissive?
But I agree
Yeah,
with her.
because I need to feel safe.
Let me tell you why I agree with her. Because I think that is indicative of the human existence. I think, we are animals, we are primal, we have certain instincts that we've inherited from our ancestors, and that's based on evolution. And I think that's why we
Yes.
are. We're
Yeah,
very
exactly.
wild, we're very crazy, we're very brutal. And, in millions of years ago, in our prior state as humans, we were exuding different characteristics that were based on survival only. And I think now we've evolved, our intelligence usurps our ancestors. I think now we're at a point now where we have morality and we have rationality, and I think
If you're doing that, it's misogyny. It's
wait,
misogyny.
hold on.
It-
That's because I want to finish this point. That I think we, based on the fact that we've evolved at a certain point, we know better, but there's still certain traits that we exude, whether man or woman, that are based on how we were in our primitive stage. And I think, there's so many different factors that go into the interaction between black men and black women. But I think that a lot of the tensions come from this glorification of putting black men and black women in a light that they don't really like each other. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Because I know and this is just me speaking from experience. I know so many black men that love black women, but they just don't verbalize it. So because they don't verbalize it, the minority of men that do verbalize that they like women out of their race gets put on the pedestal as, okay, this is representative of black men. They don't like us. And that's not true. I don't think that's true.
But do you think that when a black man reaches a certain level, because I've heard this topic before, when a black man reaches a certain level of success, it's more likely that he would choose to date outside his race?
Well, what is that based on? What's that? What analyze?
So,
what study
I don't
or
know.
survey? Because
It's just, that's what I'm saying. Do you think, like, I don't know, I haven't seen any statistics, I haven't seen any surveys, but it is something that has been discussed before. It is something that I thought about, and I don't know whether it's true, but I have seen it. So I have seen that a lot of successful men
So this is what I'm gonna do.
date outside their race.
Okay, so we'll go around the room. What do you think?
Again, that goes back to media. You see all the basketballers, footballers, musicians, rappers, everybody, and they seem to be out dating outside their race.
Okay, let's stay on that point, because that's a very important point. I hear this a lot from black girls, black women, that a lot of black men who are successful, high value, they go out their race. Now, okay, what is percentage of that, do you think? Because when I look
It's
at
a small percentage, because the thing is, there's thousands of successful black men. But again, it goes back to media. So even though there's thousands, it seems like the 1,000 are all choosing outside their race, but it's only because of media. But that's not the case.
So you think it's this external force or factor that is trying to make this stereotype?
Do you think it's the media that's trying to portray that?
I do think so.
No, because I think the media is just reflective.
I think so, because
But I think the media is just reflective of what's happening.
No, but I know I know bare black men that love black women, but a portion of them don't say it. They don't verbalize it. So it's just their lifestyle, their reality. But I think what it is you lot as women focus on the negative as well. You lot focus on the black men that don't like you. And I think that's a minority. I think that's the men that don't really rate themselves. But I don't think that's reflective of bare black men. I think the majority of black men that may not approach women as much are the ones who've had probably negative experiences, and they feel like, you know what, every time I try to go from home, they always move a bit mad. And I don't think that means that they don't like black women, because I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I'll still go for a black woman. If a black woman rejects me, I'll go for the next one.
Yeah, but not everybody.
But when you go through certain experiences, you feel like you're a product of your experience. That's what I mean. And I think that's part of a human existence. You're a product of your experience.
To the white girls, if a white girl is treating one of my black men like a king, go ahead, stay with her, stick with her, have her. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Black girls pay for the bill, by the way.
So you guys don't find this funny. My mum said this to me one time.
I don't like a woman ever paying for me. That's what's my name.
Yeah,
my mum said to me one time. She was like, obviously she has one son and she has 3 daughters, and she was like, as her daughter, she would love for me to marry a white man.
Yeah, I'll wrap up. Sorry.
And she thinks that white men treat women with respect more, or they pander. I don't know. But then she was like, she would never let her son date a white woman.
No.
And the reason for that is because she thinks that the white woman will walk all over him and this and that. I don't know, but
But
she
you
just
see, that just sounds like no disrespect. That sounds like that's just a product of that person's experience.
yeah.
That because they're a woman who has a particular outlook on how black men are, they're gonna judge whatever black men that date out their race are in and fit them in that category of their assumption about what
Yeah,
black men do. And I just think that that's not really true, because again, me and him can say we know so many black men, including ourselves, that love black women. So I just think, you know what, we as human beings, we look for what is negative.
I think Mama's a mixed race grandchild.
No, that's part of it. That's part of it. Colorism is part of it. She wants mixed race grandchildren.
And that's the effects of colonization.
Yeah.
For our ancestors, our great grandparents, they were products of a society where they born into that. But I just, you know, I don't know. But you know, we got to wrap it up now, and it's been a really good discussion. But any final thoughts? I will around the room. Do you have any final thoughts on what you think? Overall?
I think the whole, you know, media is portraying a certain perspective. I think media might be reflective of what's happening on a bigger scale. And the reason why I say that is, why is it just basketballers? Why is it just footballers that it seems like this is happening? I feel like it's happening everywhere, but media is just showing us. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it's media that's portraying that. If you know what I mean. I think that's what's happening.
What do you think?
Just to echo thoughts a bit, what do you think is a percentage? Obviously, I don't know statistic-wise, but a percentage of black people that own anything in the media. So we can't put a narrative out there because it's from white people. So obviously they're always going to paint the image they want of us. Do you know what I mean? So if we own the percentage of the media, we can choose the positive side. Do you know what I mean? But fortunately, we don't, and that's one of the main things as well.
What do you think?
I think black love needs to be promoted a lot more.
I like how you think, because I agree with her so much, you know. More like
White people ain't gonna do that for you though.
No, we don't need to do that, white people. I think my whole thing is my spiel is this: black people need to stop caring about what other races think. I mean, to just do what Jews do. Don't give a fuck, because that's why they're so successful and that's why they're so united. Because we need to just say, look, we need to better our influences. We need to fix the fractions that constitute why we have certain issues, but I don't think we should allow certain examples of those that reflect those issues be the summative definition of, you know, our experience. I think we need to find out ourselves and we need to unite more. But
So
that was just to compliment your point. But
thank you.
You finish off.
I love black love. I will always promote black love.
You know, and when I was younger, I didn't.
And don't care who's, you know, it doesn't matter if black men are dating outside their race. You know what, love is love. You love whoever you want to love. It's up to you. Not my thing personally, but, you know, go where you're loved and go where you're wanted. And it doesn't matter what colour, skin tone or whatever it is. But definitely, like you said, if there's a problem with dating within your race, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah, and I agree. So guys, that is the conclusion of our episode. It's been very amazing having you guys all here, sharing your thoughts on this particular important subject. I think it's important because I think, you know, there needs to be justification not justification, but there needs to be some kind of like recompense over the assumption that black men don't like black women. And I don't think it's true. I think we do. I just think there's a narrative that has been put out there for a different bias. But yeah, no, thank you guys for joining on my show. I appreciate that.